Good morning. Welcome back to Fine Furniture Friday. Today I'd like to discuss material that are available for your custom furniture. So behind me I have a waterfall console table that I just finished up, and although the design is beautiful, one thing I'd like to point out is that the material that we selected for this is just as important as the design. As if we chose the wrong material, the grain structure, the color, the patterns in the grain can really take away from the design itself. So I'd like to bring you in a little closer, show you what I have here, and show you some of the species that are available to you in your custom furniture. So this console table is going to be in an entryway. The design of it is quite modern in that it's very simple. And the main effect that it has is this waterfall effect. And it does have this unique kind of layered effect happening all the way through. So kind of retro, kind of, maybe 70s vibe. But what's important in terms of lumber and material that we choose for a piece like this is that we really want the grain of the piece to kind of take a back seat. We don't want a really wild grain that has a lot of movement, especially out here on the edges where we want to emphasize the linear design. We don't want the grain to take away from that. So this particular species is called red Grandis, but it's very similar to the mahoganies in that the grain is very straight. It has just a little bit of cathedral movement there in the middle, which all lumber will have. But you can see just how beautiful the grain is and how it complements the piece. So, depending on the design of the piece, you might want more movement or less movement, and that's why choosing the right lumber is so important. So in front of me I have a variety of species, some more common than others, and you can really see that the grain structure, whether that grain being an open grain or a closed grain wood, and the grain pattern, so how much movement we have in the grain depending on how the board was sawn, can all vary, and of course the color, can all vary from species to species. And if you're going for a natural look where you want to emphasize the wood's natural color, color is going to be very important, of course. So if I wanted a dark piece, I might choose walnut. Or if I want that classic mahogany look, go with mahogany or sapele. And then if you want, this is ash, so it's going to have a big difference between its heartwood and its sapwood. You have a big variation there. And then something like maple that's very subtle in its grain, and it's a closed grain wood. But the one we chose is this one. It's called red Grandis. And you can see just how straight the grain is, and it will have a little bit of movement towards the center of the board, just like all lumber will, but overall it's a much straighter grain wood than the rest of these. Now we did end up staining this, and that's okay because the client didn't like this light kind of pinkish color, but even still it was important to choose the correct species because the heartwood and the sapwood is very tight and very minimal, and so when we go to stain it, we get these striations. So you can see where the stain takes a little darker to the sapwood and a little lighter to the heartwood, and then we get this nice like kind of graining effect that goes through the piece, and that way the piece doesn't just look all dark. It has a little bit of character. So I hope this was enlightening for you. You're not just stuck with the common species like the maples, oaks, walnuts, ones that you might be accustomed to. There's a whole variety of species available. And when you're making custom furniture, that's really the beauty making it from scratch, is we get to start with the correct material, whether it be the right grain, the right color, the structure of the grain, whether it's an open grain or a closed grain. We get to choose what is right for you. So if you're interested in a custom piece of furniture, reach out, let me know, we can work through. material that is best for your piece, and I think you're going to be really satisfied with the outcome. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great weekend.